And welcome in everybody to our final matchup of the day between Inertia and Jduck. We have seen three teams go home from the tournament this week, with Copium being knocked out by Catjam, Inferno being knocked out by Requiem, and most recently Deception being knocked out by Ruthless Raccoons. Now one more team will be going home. Will it be Inertia or will it be Jduck, with the sets of Hillbilly first up, Jduck's pick, then Nurse from Inertia, and a tiebreaker of Mastermind. As we see Slug loading into this game, what do you think we can expect here, Devour? Do you reckon that with the standard build, we'll see some normal gameplay, we'll see some standard stuff trying to set a win con for Jduck here?
Yeah, I think I agree there. We've probably got a pretty standard build here. Bamboozle, Pop, Pain, Res, Corrupt, looking for somebody on the edge map, just seeing if anyone's holding the choke on Survivor. Does manage to find Laurie here. Got the Global Jungle Gym, takes the M1. Not a bad start for him indeed.
Yeah, that's an early hit. Boosted here, just running towards the shack, trying to get as much distance away towards the bottom side so his team can cross this choke. Slug playing pretty safely here, actually catching out someone else, opting to leave to go for an exposed insta-down here on Universe, who will maybe just barely, no, not actually going to make the pallet. Might be a down, but just about missing. And now Universe will make this short wall and get to safety.
Yeah, slight undercurve there from the side of Slug, and a little bit of a whiff there on the pallet gym. Sees somebody else crossing though, decides to leave the chase, wants to get the nice chase on the uncrooked side of the map, and try and get it down in his 3-gen nice and early, or 4-gen even on the top side here. We see 4 gens spread across. It's a really, really good setup for him.
Yeah, absolutely here. I think Slug is playing this pretty well, but the survivors have been very patient. Unfortunately, though, Boosted being injured is going to be out of position here. With this pallet dropped, I think this should be a down in the 4-gen coming through just about now.
Yeah, really nice mind game on the 4 lane there, catching Boosted off guard. Fortunate that he was caught rotating a little bit too early compared to the rest of the team, and this is definitely going to give him a hook in the 4-gen, and we can see him going straight over to that. Really wants to make sure he gets that hook. Nice in his gen setup.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine this should be a pain res coming through. That is the first pain res of the trial, and we see it's hitting this 11 gen. Slug, now knowing somebody's here, is going to try and potentially look for an instant down here. But I think with the stealth coming through, the best thing Slug can do realistically here is to try and hold pressure on this triangle he has here in the top left of the map to deny the survivors from breaking the top side while Boosted creeps closer to second stage.
Yeah, and he still has to pop. He's got about 15-20 seconds left on that, so in case anybody does start any of these gens on 10 or 1, he's got the mobility of the chainsaw, dash across, get the pop kick, slow the survivors down even more, and allow Boosted to hit second stage.
Yeah, absolutely here. I think Slug's going to be feeling very good about his position because of the corrupt he had and the fact that it was difficult for them to push the bottom gens, plus the setup he has on the top side. And now I imagine Slug's just going to, he's just going to come closer to the hook here, maybe not roam so far, and potentially just try and secure the second stage on Boosted, which is indeed, I think, what we're going to see happening here. Slug just making sure Boosted goes second before more than likely checking that mid-gen, which he knows is being worked, or the gen on 2, which he does indeed see someone rotating towards this filler on.
Yeah, we see the survivors pop a gen on the bottom side as to be expected. He's holding this top side with his life. We see him going straight for the tunnel out, the wise decision to make early on in the game. Able to get somebody out at 3 or 4 gens remaining would be an insane start for him, leading into a very good mid-game. Trying to use the chainsaw, very close, almost gets the down. Slightly cancelled it a little bit too early, not sure if he was going to hit the survivor a bit preemptively. You see them playing the fun bus now, decides to leave the tile for the filler. Gets an insane S-curve on the survivor, that was absolutely cracked. Well played by Slug there, and that should be the death onto Boosted.
Yeah, that was a fantastic chainsaw there, a long-range snipe, and that is going to be the kill at 4 generators remaining. Definitely not ideal for Inertia. Slug playing super well. I thought Boosted would get away with it there on the fun bus, but no, Slug just about cutting him off, and now there is not nearly enough pressure on this 4-gen for a 3v1 to be playable here. I think we're looking at a 4K Devour.
Yeah, definitely a 4K if the killer plays this one right out. Finds another survivor very quickly. This is a very high octane gameplay here by Slug, and you know the top side gens probably still don't have enough progress for them to get much out of this chase. If it lasts not very long whatsoever, then we'll be looking at a very high gens 4K, I think here, Doug.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Quimford is having a good chase, but it's going to be very difficult to come back from a position like this. With Quimford finally going down, we do see one of these topside gens popping, but the problem is that Slug still has 3 left, which means that despite this, it's still going to be very difficult for the survivors to play, as the pallets in this 4-gen or 3-gen now slowly get depleted and slowly get removed from the map. Now, we saw earlier in the day that some of the games between Catjam and Copium were decided by pallet depletion inside the 3-gen. And I think in this case, Slug even has such a head start that I don't think that's even going to be an issue. I think even with quite a few resources still here, they'll still be in a strong position to win this game.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this 3-gen here is very, very nasty with the Hillbilly, the new overdrive mechanic. Very, very difficult for the survivors to avoid just the amount of pressure that you can apply ping-ponging around the gens. Especially with Pop, Painter is still active, 2 stacks on the 2 survivors that are left standing at the moment. There's very little they can do to break this 3-gen. It's most likely going to be seeing a 4K1 here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We see one of those 2 remaining bottom gens popping. I imagine the next one will be quite... No, never mind. We do see someone rotating for the save, but they are not going to be nearly getting close enough to the hook here as Weary tries to cross for this pull. I imagine that this will more than likely just be Slug securing the stage before committing, though. Yep, correct play from Slug there. I think you could maybe get the resource out knowing that Universe is on the bottom side, but why risk it? You can just play safe here. With the second stage on Quimfrid, now you can more comfortably commit to Weary, who is perhaps overcommitted a little bit. This should be an M1, but instead going for the chainsaw and now losing that M1. Very unfortunate there for Slug, but I think that it's still going to be a case of a 4K1.
Yeah, there's just too little pressure for them survivors on the 3-gen. Too much pressure from the killer on the survivors. And we just see this chase now, not really going to necessarily do much for the survivors here. Lots of the pallets going down in this corner, around where the gens are. They do see the save. Probably going to be, it'll be interesting to see, does he go for the tunnel? It looks like he will be going for the tunnel, trying to just get a 2v1. Though he doesn't really need the painters because there's minimal gem pressure at the moment from the survivors, and this whole corner is pretty much empty.
Yeah, I think realistically it's hard to know how long it took Universe to rotate across the map, so we don't exactly know how much progress is on that bottom side gen. But I think Slug's aim here is going to try to do better than that 4K1 in order to win the series. And I think the way he does that is, I imagine one of the survivors, probably Universe, will go back to the bottom side. So I think what Slug needs to do is unload a pop into one of these top gens and then go to the bottom side and try and deny the other gen by making sure the rotation just cannot come through to finish that 4th generator and get a 4K1 condition for the team.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably the play that he's aiming for here. I mean, with the kill onto Quimfrid, there's basically nothing the survivors can do now against the Hillbilly as long as he successfully ping-pongs around the map with his chainsaw. I mean, we see overdrive coming through here. It's just insane mobility. If he's able to find one of the survivors here on the bottom side, which he does see them on this tile here. Nice stun coming in from Nia to buy some time. Maybe if she can hold a really good chase, Ace might be able to get some progress on one of the gens. She does have all of the bottom side resources to use, but it is the Hillbilly with overdrive. Ooh, very, very close. Good crouch tech coming out. Not sure if that would have helped or made the difference, but we don't know. And an insane curve coming out.
Yeah, that's going to be the 4K1 here, 4K2 here, I think. Slug not even going to risk picking up, just checking the gens. Even though there's pretty much no way any of these would be ready to pop through a pain res, I think it's better to be safe than sorry, and I think Slug agrees. Just going to check this gen on 2. He sees it about 60% progress here. Just looking around, maybe seeing if he can spot out our ace Weary, who is doing an excellent job of stealthing, but does get found on the TLs, and is now playing this edge map filler as potentially the last chase of the game.
Yeah, we just see the Billy zoning and playing it safe, knowing there's no pallet here in this 4 lane. Playing it very safe with his chainsaw. Has the bamboozle still if needed on the 4 lane, and we should soon hopefully be seeing Ace going down to the Hillbilly's chainsaw. Predicts the curve, but Slug fakes it and plays it very safe. Goes for a clean back ref. Nia will have not had that much time to crawl, so should be able to find her relatively quickly, relatively easily, and that should be both of the survivors hooked for a 4K2. Really nice win con setup for his survivor team there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth talking about here that if one of these survivors does bleed out, the fresh hook bleed out will deny 1 point to our killer Slug, which would mean that a 4K2 from the opponent's killer would be a win if there is a bleed out here, which is very, very difficult to play against if you do end up losing our Nia Universe here. But with Universe now getting found, I think that this is going to be a very clean and very well played 4K2 result here. Extremely, okay, bumping on thin air there, unfortunate for Slug. Acknowledging that there as well. But yeah, an extremely well played game. I think that Slug was in control after he found boosted crossing there while injured. And this is going to be extremely difficult for Inertia's killer to try and meet this win condition and bring back this set. But as a consolation, it is Jduck's pick. They were expecting to perform well on the Hillbilly, and Slug has shown exactly why Jduck is so confident on the Hillbilly here.
Yeah, I mean, his Hillbilly in this game has been very mechanically impressive, hitting some nice chainsaws, and I mean, really, this game stemmed from the very beginning, as you said, with Boosted getting found on the crossing to the top side in the active 3 or 4 gen. Even though gen on 10 was closed originally, it just makes the survivors have a very difficult start to play around, having to save a Hillbilly from the top side of the map with the 4 gen, not having any real gem progress on that side at the same time. You know, it's very difficult for them to then make the tunnel out, allow the tunnel out to get to the bottom side away from the gens. And I mean, that start was really what cost them, I think, the most.
Yeah, absolutely agree there. I think that this game was in Slug's control from the beginning with that 4 gen on the top side that he was playing around since day one. With that said, to Inertia's credit, they didn't have a disaster. They were able to pop one of those top side generators and they got very close to popping two. But I think Universe perhaps rotating for the save instead of sticking the bottom gen cost them a 4k1. Either way, we are going to go to intermission now and we'll be back shortly with Inertia's killer to see if they can match this impressive performance from Slug after a quick break.
Welcome back, everybody, for match number 2 of set number 1 between Jduck and Inertia. We saw Slug get a very, very impressive 4k2 on the Hillbilly on the Azor's resting place, and we're now going to see the killer of Inertia try and either match that for a tie or get a 4k3. Very difficult result to get, but definitely doable to win the set for Inertia, and that would definitely give them a big confidence boost if they're able to get that. Now we see we have loaded in with Boosted on the Hillbilly. Well, I know he is a very, very, very good killer, very skilled, and plays a lot of killers. We're going to be hoping to see some good gameplay here, and we have a very standard build, but we do see the Hex Ruin instead of the, I think it was the Pop Goes the Weasel from the last killer game of Slug's choice. Now, it's quite an aggressive pick. What do you think?
I think that given the win condition you have, you really do. I don't think that playing with Pop is going to be secure enough. You're relying too much on your Gen RNG. Ruin, you're instead relying on Hex RNG, but it is a perk that can allow you to quickly snowball the game if you can get rapid downs and really stay in the survivors' faces. So I think it's a sensible pick given the win condition here, and given that there's so much pressure on Boosted to perform, as he unfortunately misses this down, and now Oblivion is going to be getting away scot-free back towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate pallet bump there. We don't even see the pallet break coming along through, let alone the down. But we do see the pallet get broken out. Boosted opting to leave the chase then, deciding it's not worth his time. Wants to pressure survivors, get value out of his ruined totem. We see Overdrive still active for a little bit longer. Goes for a very ambitious curve on the crane. It's just a little bit unfortunate then, not being able to catch the survivor off guard. Now we see Smith in chase on the border. Very, very disgusting curve, using the new 0.25 seconds extra of curving time that was added to the Hillbilly recently to curve around the entirety of the Digger there. Very impressive play from Boosted, showing us why he is regarded as one of the better killers in OCE DBD comp.
That was a fantastic curve, and that is exactly the start Boosted needed here. Getting his first pain res in for the trial, and also getting his ruin still up, still working. The survivors somehow not seeing it next to this generator, or either just not opting to cleanse it. And now Boosted sees a crow. He knows someone's crossing for this save, and is going to try and track them down in order to pull his way back into this game. We do see, I believe that is Huntra crossing for this pull, and maybe getting the stun, no, dropping the pallet, but this could be another down, and this is what Boosted needs, but just about missing as Huntra gets away. Although this is a dead zone, this could be the down coming through, and it is. This is what Boosted needed to win this game here, and I think that he could potentially get a 4k2 from this position.
Yeah, most definitely. He has some insane pressure right now, catching the survivors, going back for the save, and also catching Huntra there, caught out of position on the edge map tile. Overdrive too strong to allow Huntra to make a new tile, and we see the tunnel back onto the Claudette here, trying to zone her, does lose her a little bit, but does find her again at this corner tile in the edge of the map, and play around this, hopefully try and zone her back towards something where she has no pallets or no windows. Does seem to be able to make Shack though here, and an unfortunate chainsaw there from Boosted kind of cuts himself off from zoning the survivor. Smith able to use life to make another tile in the edge map, but gets hit through the pallet by Overdrive. That is what it does. Extra speed plus engravings.
Yeah, that is an absolutely disgusting hit there through the pallet. And in case you're not aware, this is a matchup on ping. This is an SEA team, Jduck, versus an OCE team in Inertia. So the survivors are all playing on around 120, 130 ping. Stunning a Hillbilly like that, very risky with this connection. Now Boosted is going to be feeling very good about this because he does have 4 generators on this bottom side of the map that he can defend and his Ruin Totem right in the middle of it. The survivors, for some reason, definitely know about it, but not deciding to cleanse it. And it is getting so much value on that middle generator in particular because of that decision. Now what Boost is going to do is he's going to slowly deplete all the pallets on the bottom side while getting his tunnel on Smith, and then play a 3v1 with this 4-gen to try and go for the tie. I think that's what we can expect.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we think he's going to do here. He's got very good pressure on these gens here. Ruin just doing lots of work on the middle gen and even maybe on the gen on 4. We cannot see it really as well, but we see a survivor over here. Gets a free pallet out of the way. Probably didn't need to drop that one, David, but playing it safe regardless. Decides to opt to go back for the hook, trying to confirm this death. Knows he still has a very strong 4-gen on this side of the map, and it's not got that much pressure on survivors here.
Yeah, I mean, we see one of the top gens popping, but as we've been talking about, this 4-gen is looking more and more insidious for the survivors to deal with, especially with, as you mentioned, Boosted's plan here to just deplete resources and get the kill in the 3v1, which now has happened with this pallet not available. Oblivion is now going to go down. No, never mind, still having the jungle gym available, but after this, there is just not going to be enough pallets on the bottom side for me to see them breaking this 4-gen against a killer like Billy, who can instantly down survivors.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's too little for survivors to work with and too much for the killer to use on this bomb side to be able to get downs just like that. Very nice curve again coming out from Boosted, showing some very good mechanical skill on the Hillbilly. And even though the gen popped on the top side, Boosted's in a very good position to just secure this tie here with Ruin still up in a 3v1, one injured survivor, even more risk against Billy because he can still just go for M1s, especially with Bamboozle, giving him so much lethality and chase. And we do see somebody rotating on 7 for the maybe try and rotate for the gen, and this is the injured Hunter, the Nancy, in a very, very bad spot here with overdrive and the zoning ability of the Hillbilly's chainsaw, most likely going to be going down here very early.
Yeah, I think there's got to be the last 2 pallets on the bottom side of the map, unless I'm mistaken there. Almost nothing for the survivors to work with, and another fantastic chainsaw on the edge map here. Boosted instead opting to slug this, trying to cut them off from working this middle gen, unfortunately bumping, which should allow Mr. Ouroboros to cross to the top side, and now Boosted can just go back, pick up Hunter, and hook Hunter deep in this 4-gen setup, where there is no one left to save him.
Yeah, this is most definitely going to be very difficult for the survivors here. Only 2 of them up, one of them going to be on the hook with Ruin still active, 3 stacks of Painters also still active. The gem pressure is just too little for the survivors to really have any sort of advantage over the killer here. I mean, going over to the shack, the Ruin in play again, the gem is only about 20%, it's not enough to threaten Boosted here. Kind of really afford to leave this chase, knowing that he still has paid resonance on all the survivors that are up, and he can afford this chase on Nancy. So I start back though, maybe wanting to make sure he protects the Ruin or check on Oblivion, knowing on the shack gem. I think that's what we do.
Yeah, I think I like how Boosted's playing, recognizing that the only real threat is a double on that mid-gen. He's just deciding to use Ruin to aggress it as much as possible before then committing to Oblivion. Extremely low-risk playstyle here, and exactly what Boosted needs to do, because he's in a position where he does not need to take risks. Another thing we can talk about here is the actual buff that Ruin received somewhat recently. Now not deactivating in the 3v1, which is making it so much easier for Boosted. The survivors will have to cleanse that Ruin, which they have still somehow not found. Oh, and a very last pixel hit there onto Mr. Ouroboros. A little bit of a linger on the chainsaw, and now Boosted is in complete control. This is going to be a 4K2, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. These survivors just cannot keep up with the speed of this Hillbilly and the precision of his chainsaws, and we see that exactly. And the nod coming in, very well-deserved nod for that one. Very, very disgusting hit. Maybe a little bit of ping on the survivor's end, but nevertheless, very, very mechanically skilled curve hit by Boosted, showing us why he just is known as one of the stronger killers in OCE comp. And returning back to look for David, thinks he's in the basement. About 3 minutes left on David's bleed out time, more than enough time for him to search around the map with the chainsaw, to ping pong about and look for him, knowing that Carlos has also only died very recently, and finding David means this is most likely going to be a 4K2 and a tie.
Yeah, that is correct. And in this case, interestingly enough, we do have to mention that the only person who it would be a threat if they bleeds out would be Mr. Ouroboros here on the Carlos, because everyone else will award full points at this point. And now as Oblivion is hooked, as Hunter is hooked, the only one Boosted actually needs is Mr. Ouroboros. And if we do see a bleed out here, that would be such a heartbreaking way for Boosted to lose this set. And I think Boosted has plenty of time to find Mr. Ouroboros here, who probably cannot have crawled far.
Yeah, I mean, the down was not that long ago, and, you know, he's still got about 3 minutes to look for him, and there we go. We do see him find Mr. Ouroboros in the top left of the map there, hiding underneath the pallet, trying to avoid the killer, but it's way too much time and way too much mobility to not find him there. It would have been probably quite surprising if the bleed out was successful, so, you know, it's probably expected to be found there, and, you know, that is the 4K2, the tie confirmed. Very well played by Boosted, and I'm sure that Jduck will be kicking themselves, knowing that they had a very strong killer game and they had the grounds to take that first set in their favour, especially since it's their pick. They're probably a little bit disappointed. Bit more confidence now for Inertia to come back on that second set, which is Nurse, their pick. I'm sure they're very confident on it, and we could be seeing maybe a bit of the mental game making a difference here, Doug.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be heartbreaking to lose the set in this kind of way. Especially, I think when they watch this back, they'll be kicking themselves for not spotting that ruin totem in plain sight, which allowed for so much slowdown on the mid gen, and also just to do with not playing around the 4 gen on the bottom side as well as they could have. But nonetheless, that was the tie on the Mastermind, no, not the Mastermind, on the Hillbilly set, sorry. And we will be going into a short break before seeing Boosted on the Nurse for Inertia on their pick. We will be back shortly, so stay put. And welcome back, everybody. We did just see a tie on the Hillbilly set with Boosted matching Slug's impressive 4K2 result and Jduck's pick now being tied up. We are going into the Nurse on Father Campbell's Chapel, where Boosted will once again be trying to play the best result he can and the best game he can for his team, Inertia, against the survivors of Jduck here, who are just loading in now as we are going to be seeing Boosted once again cooking with the Rancor and also going with Discordance this time. I think this is the same build we saw him use last week, where he was able to get an incredibly impressive 4K2 result against Copium. So, Devour, what do you think about the Rancor pick, the Discordance pick? That is a really early tag, and this is not a good start for Jduck already.
Yeah, I think the Discordance and the Rancor are definitely going to play in, like, almost together. We see both of them kind of being info perks. Rancor definitely has its uses with the Mori, but I would say it's more used for the info. Getting free info on every single gen pop is really good for the killer, being able to work out where he wants to play next after gens pop, and Discordance as well, being able to see where the survivors are potentially doubling up gens. Quite a common strategy against the Nurse because of her fast ability to get downs. We do see a little whiff there by Boosted, slightly misjudging the blink, and again another little misjudgment from Boosted. We see the life coming through from Mr. Ouroboros, being able to get him a lot of distance and delay this first down even longer.
Yeah, this is not a good start for Boosted. He had a really, really early first hit, but was unable to really capitalize on it because, unfortunately, on the Shag, with the light coming out, not seeing him, and the lucky break being held for so long, a few missed blinks towards 5 and 6 just costing so much here. Now Boosted will get the hit onto Oblivion, but this is already a very late first down, and I think that we're going to be seeing that Gen at 3 popping any second.
Yeah, exactly as you said, first gen popping. And the Rancor value not really necessarily being used to its fullest as he's constantly focused on this chase and still even now missing a few little blinks on Oblivion. Unfortunately, getting his first down relatively late into the game, decides to just quickly break the Shack pallet, allow him to get this basement hook most likely. Still has a little bit of pressure on the board with this hook and still has pop in the back pocket, but maybe unable to capitalize on this as good as he could have if he had that early down and he found Mr. Ouroboros at the start of the game.
Yeah, that is correct there. And we do see the gen split is not particularly good for Boosted here. He does kind of have a 3-gen here, but main is very difficult to defend while also controlling basement. The one good thing is that it is basement. It is a very difficult place for the survivors to save from, which means that if Boosted does commit to a tag on main, he can probably get back and contest that unhook. However, you do need to be a little bit careful about the lucky break on Oblivion if you do commit too far away. I think Boosted sees someone. He does. Really good game sense there, catching out Winterfell, who will just be forced to go for a trade. And now Oblivion's getting blocked in the basement. This is all going wrong for Jduck.
Yeah, very, very, very good find from Boosted there, seeing the guy rotating into the basement to save, and he gets another down on Oblivion, not being able to make much distance whatsoever out of the basement with the about 2 seconds of block there, making a huge difference in terms of distance. But the DS does come through. Will that get Oblivion any sort of distance? Faking the blink for the Dead Hard to bait the Dead Hard out. Really well played by Boosted, predicting that the Dead Hard and the Decisive are going to be paired together. Quite a very, very common combo, and that probably is going to be unbreakable from the Yui. Most likely nobody else would have rotated that early in, and we do see that it was her unbreakable being used, as that is confirmed by the Rancor of the Gen popping further up on the top side of the map. And we do see Yui running about on 4, trying to rotate away from the shack and the basement, but she does get caught out, unfortunately, in the open, and that is a down very close to the hook. This is brought Boosted back into the game, I think.
Yeah, Inertia are not an easy team to play against. We saw this when they were playing so well against Silence on Friday, and now Boosted is in complete control. Unbreakable is out of the game, DS is out of the game. He has so many resources that the survivors have now already used up, and that he now no longer has to worry about in the 3v1 or going forward. So what he can do, he can just secure the kill on Oblivion, and then go... Even if they don't save this, he can just secure the kill and then go pick up. But they do go for the save. He's going to try and get the trade here. Yep, getting the tag onto Smith, and now the trade will come through. But Oblivion really has nowhere to go. Just relying so much on hitting this Dead Hard, which is never easy to do on ping against a nurse like Boosted.
Yeah, especially with the ability to just fake the blinks. It's a pretty much pure 50-50. We see Boosted this time just instantly swinging there, not bothering to wait out the Dead Hard, playing the mind games with Oblivion. And because Ace went down as well, there's a lot of pressure. Somebody would have had to rotate to pick up the UE, as she already used her Unbreakable. And now we see a lot of pressure put onto these survivors. The 3v1 is now active. 2 injures. This is really big pressure for Boosted, and he goes for an insane 12-meter blink. Absolutely nuts there from Boosted. Very risky, but very well worth it if he lands it. And now we see 3 injuries. This is really bad for the team of Jduck, because with this add-on, the yellow add-on, and another down, with the yellow add-on, the survivors are unable to heal within 28 meters of the nurse without her being able to see that aura. We do see another gen pop on the top side, but that gives away the last 2 survivors' positions. And being injured, this is very, very, very unfortunate for them. They're in a very, very tough position to recover now.
Indeed they are. Their position is not good here. Boosted's pressure is immense, and this survivor on this 8th gen will be completely unable to help here. Yep, we see Boosted just checking the area, more than likely going to unload a pop, and if I were him, I would just go back to hook here. I wouldn't even risk looking for the Yui. Exactly what Boosted thinks as well. Going to go back, going to try it. We see the reset onto Winterfell. I do not know who the medkit player is, but if Boosted is going to check for the reset, it's going to be on 10 between the two. I think that was a reset with a medkit or an inner strength potentially, because there's very little. Yeah, that's the medkit onto Yui here. And now Boosted's going to try and cut this off, forcing the injured Smith to go for the save.
Yeah, really good game sense here from Boosted, looking for the reset in exactly the location it was. Unable to catch off guard, but still finding the Yui out. She has taken him all the way to the other side of the map though, which does allow Smith to potentially rotate and get a save. We do see the tag coming onto Yui. Nice set of blinks there from Boosted. Gonna recover them now. Yui rotating to this pallet gem on 10, trying to block the line of sight of the nurse. Unfortunate blink there from Boosted, getting swallowed a little bit on the junk and side of this pallet gem, deciding to leave the chase. Knowing that Yui most likely doesn't have enough medkit to heal herself again, knowing that he can leave her, having lots of pressure on her still on the other side of the map, trying to catch these 2 survivors off guard now.
Yeah, that's an incredibly sensible decision there from Boosted. Being aware of the fact that that medkit's not going to be full enough, just going to go back. We see actually both survivors here, Smith in the basement and Mr. Ouroboros on the backside. And now, oh no, never mind. My eyes are deceiving me. That is a discordant on the top side, but there is no way they have time to pop that, and Boosted knows that. So he's just going to take the pickup onto Smith and then go topside to pop that gen and begin another chase.
Exactly that, and I think this pressure now is just too much for the survivors, not being able to reset enough, not being able to sort of regain control of the game from Boosted after that double slug and hook earlier on in the match around the basement. And to be honest, these survivors just don't have enough pressure on their gens to make up for the lack of resets, and the chase down pop kick playstyle is working really well for Boosted at the moment. And because survivors aren't resetting, it's just allowing him to multiply his pressure even more onto the survivors here.
Yeah, the shining light for the survivors here is that there is no clear tunnel out yet. Boosted has 2 unique hooks on 2 survivors. There's no one who's ready to die, and they are also very split on these gens. They have this 1 gen on 10, and then they have 3 generators all towards the bottom side. What they need to do here to get 1 more gen is to push the Shack gen and this gen on 10, which is exactly what they're doing here. They don't, unfortunately, have the Unbreakable available, and the Deliverance is bad. But by forcing Boosted to commit all the way to the top side here, without the Discordance, Boosted will know someone is stealthing for the save, but he won't know where, which means that he is now forced to respond by going all the way to the bottom side, and that will allow the survivors stealthing for the pull to get that save and stack 10 and give the survivors a 4k1.
Yeah, if we're able to see fast chases come out from Boosty, maybe able to prevent that, but you know, he has to go to this bottom side. He cannot risk allowing them to pop this gen for free and then double the gen on 10. But even more pressure if he's unable to find the guy stealthing for the pull. You see him blinking over to 6 here. The gen is about 40%. Able to kick it, take away a large amount of progress. Probably doesn't have enough time to spend ages looking around for this person on 6. Has to go back, try and prevent the unhook and the double on 10. Really going to be showing his macro knowledge here, Boosted, and whether he's able to try and hold these survivors to a 4k or 2, or if they'll be able to pop a gen and get a 4k1.
I think it's going to be a 4k1 here. Now, we do see the pull coming through just in time here, and yeah, this is more than likely just going to be Smith going straight down. But we know that there's a survivor working that gen on 6. We know that the saver here, who I believe was Winterfell, will be working the gen on 10. Oh, the whiff coming through, that's going to really cost here. With both of these gens being worked, yeah, that's a lot of time for Boosted here. It's going to hurt. And now Boosted needs to confirm this, which he does. But is that too little, too late? And will the survivors now have enough pressure to brute force one of these gens?
Yeah, that single whiff might just be enough for the survivors to pop one of these 2 gens. Maybe he might still be able to get the pop. Goes to Weasel in time, but we don't know yet. The gen on 6 definitely going to be high progress, and somebody will have definitely been going straight back up to work the gens on top side, trying to get one of these 2 pops. It's now just a 2v1. Can Boosted get the down in time? The sprint burst really well timed from Yui there, able to deny another down and another pop kick. Even just a few seconds, every single second makes a difference, especially against the Nurse, and this should be enough for the survivors to pop one of those gens and get a 4.
Yeah, absolutely. A beautiful sprint burst there, and that's going to be enough to pop that gen on 10 for sure here. We see the down. Boosted is forced to slug this if he wants to contest that 10 gen, knowing that, but I think it should be too high just because of the sprint burst. This is going to be a very close one. I'm expecting it to be about 80% now, but I think Boosted will be able to stop it. Yeah, no, only about 80. Really well played by Boosted. An incredible match there. Just about holding on as this survivor here tries to stealth. We know that the Unbreakable is unavailable on Winterfell, and this is just going to be a 4k at 2 generators. An incredibly well played game from Boosted, and Jduck put up a great fight, but were unfortunately unable to get over the line with this last generator.
Yeah, I think just the combination of just the lack of resets and the top goes Weasel kicks just combined didn't allow the survivors to generate enough pressure on the gens. Even with the split being in their favor, it's just unfortunate to see that they were so close. 2 gens about 60%, 80%, just not enough pressure there. Even with the misses coming from Boosted, probably trying to get nice quick downs, knowing that the gens are going to be very close. Even with a few whiffs, it was just not enough for the survivors of Jduck to capitalize upon and get a 4k1. It's a really good result for Boosted here, especially for Nurse on this map. Getting a 4k2 just provides you with an insane base to start with your survivor team to try and get a nice easy win on this set with a 4k1 result, or even less if they're able to give them a big point swing, and you know, this will definitely give them a bit of a morale boost as well going into survivor side.
Yeah, and the only thing that could maybe ruin Boosted's day here a bit is, again, the fresh bleed out on Winterfell, who has not been hooked in this trial, which means that Winterfell bleeding out will deny 1 point to our killer Boosted, and will therefore mean that a 4k2 from Jduck's killer will be the set win for Jduck. But I think that even with that said, a 4k1 win condition on Survivor, it's still a very nice condition to meet. It's still a comfortable position, and I think that even with the bleed out, Boosted is going to be feeling good about this result that he's set for his team.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, a 4k1 on this map, the survivors play well, play safe and die in the right spot, then I'm sure it's more than achievable. And even though we probably might see this bleed out come through, I think, as you said, Boosted will be very happy with this result. Has he found Yui in the corner there?
No, not quite. Maybe he's checking that.
Oh, might be checking basement last minute. I don't think Yui's down here though, unfortunately. No, it doesn't.
No, that will be the fresh bleed out. Yeah, that's going to
Yeah.
be the fresh bleed out. Yeah, Yui all the way towards this top corner on 2. This is going to be a fresh bleed out, which will deny Boosted 1 point. That point may be crucial depending on how well Jduck's killer can play and whether Inertia survivors can withstand the pressure of the nurse on Father Campbell's chapel. As for whether that will happen, we will have to keep you waiting, and we will let you know after a short break when the game commences.
Welcome back, everybody, for game number 2 of set number 2. We saw Boosted for Inertia getting a very strong 4k2 result on the nurse on the chapel here, and we're going to be seeing Jduck's killer come in with a very, very interesting and quite tough win con here. We have to get a 4k2 because there was a bleed out in the first match. They need a 4k2 to win, and a 4k1 would not be enough. It would still go to Inertia, and we see a build here of Rancor, Dying Light, Pop Ghost Weasel, and Corrupt. What do you think of this one, Doug?
I think the Dying Light is definitely a better pick than the Discordance. We didn't really see the Discordance get any value for Boosted, only really activating on that first generator, but I think you could have already figured out that they'd be stacking that gen at 3. So going with the Dying Light, provided that he does not chase Universe or does not chase the DS-DH player and gets DS'd, should provide more value to our killer Smith here. But with a win con like this, it's safe to certain if there's ever really a chance that the survivors play well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree there. The Dying Light definitely should provide more value. Keyword there being should, if the session is not the first one to get tunneled out and die. But we see survivors doing really good on stealthing out the nurse so far, wasting a lot of time and slowly eating through this corrupt. We're about halfway through, and if they're able to do this, this would be a big thing from Smith, taking away a whole perk, completely denied, and a lot of time wasted. And as you said, the survivors play well. It's going to be very difficult for the nurse to really fight back and get the win con needed. We do see Nia getting found finally. The blink unfortunately getting swallowed on the rock, and a whiff there. Bit of even more fatigue than if he just did not swing. And the long recharge of the blinks now without recharge add-ons going to give the Nia here Boosted a long time to get away. And we do see a little bit of Pokos there on the hit. Ping coming through, the undetectable add-on, which we did not see last round, being used here to potentially try and catch the survivors off guard.
Yeah, the down finally does come through onto Boosted, but you've got to be feeling good about this start as Inertia. Excellent stealth on the rock on 2 there, and that's going to allow them so much time to rotate and flood the bottom side generators of the map so that the progress will really be against Smith here. We don't see a gen popping, interestingly enough, which suggests that they might not actually be doubling. I think that they're going for a 3 split on the bottom side of the map, which, if this works, will be a catastrophe for Smith.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a lot of pressure split from the survivors. With that slow start for Smith as well, this plan of 3 splitting the gens definitely going to pay off. Good stealthing from the survivor on 7, not giving any free info or any free tags. We see the Rancor of the first gen pop, showing the 2 survivors, the person who got the unhook, showing the tunnel out. Not looking around to see where the other survivors are though, losing out on a little bit of info there. And we see Boosted getting tunneled out, but having a lot of distance to make it all the way to this side of the map, allowing the survivors to continue 3 splitting those gens, getting lots of pressure, and this could be the difference here.
Yeah, and if this is DHDS, this will be exceptionally crippling for Smith here, and it is, oh man, that just hurts to watch here. I think this game is quickly going against Smith, our killer, as another whiff comes through. Boosted not even forced to use the likely DH that he is saving for a later opportunity, and now I don't think Smith really has much shot. Beautiful DH, but unfortunately running into the wall there. And now we see Cooney actually working this gen, so maybe a bit of a miscom instead of going back to the corner on 11. But with the whiff coming through, it's not going to matter, as Boosted is going to make it all the way down to this generator on 4, which has already popped. And now it's not going to be a good hook for Smith either.
Yeah, and another whiff coming through, multiple whiffs coming through. I think Smith might be feeling the pressure here of the wing con mounting up on his shoulders, and Boosted playing exceptionally well here on the chase, dodging out the blinks, using the dead hard even on ping to deny even more pressure for Smith. And we finally see Boosted going down, but not after multiple blinks, and this has given the survivors so much time to work on those gens, pop the gens that they need to pop, deny the killer of any pressure possible. And, you know, there's no injures on the board, DHDS has been used, only the second stage, we're 2 gens down with multiple gens definitely having quite a lot of progress. The odds are against Smith here, but he may be able to pull it back, who knows.
It would be an incredibly difficult task and an extremely big ask to pull this back. We see Cooney pre-leaving this gen, maybe a little bit late, but that's because it's so high, and Smid is now forced to pop this and chase Cooney. If you go back and tunnel boosted, I think a 4K2 is pretty much impossible. I already think that that's basically impossible without the survivors making some mistakes, and Smid is now taking a chase on Cooney, who has so much distance. Every single chase is hurting here just because of how well Inertia have been playing and how they have been able to use their perks to their fullest advantage.
Yeah, really, really good start, just snowballing for the side of Inertia on the survivors, just into even more pressure for them against the killer. We do see a really nice hit there coming through from Smith onto Cooney, slightly unaware of where his position was, running all the way down to the bottom side now, getting a lot of value out of that hit though. And we see another tag coming onto Boosted. Survivors getting caught out a little bit here, maybe by the undetectable add-on, maybe the communication isn't just perfectly on point, but we see Boosted now getting chased, trying to get the tunnel out. Cancels the blink, unaware of his position, tracks him down. We see another gen pop on the top side. There's now very little that Smith has in terms of gen position and failure, and we see that Boosted gets the dead hard off again on ping. It's absolutely insane from Boosted. Take him all the way to the corner, wasting tons of time for the killer Smith here. And another whiff coming through. Unfortunate blink there on the edge map, stuck on the Z wall, and we're going to see Boosted run even further away, get even more distance, even more time wasted, and that is it. That is the fourth gen that Inertia needed.
Yeah, there is the win condition. Inertia going to be taking this Nurse set, but we are still going to be going to the tiebreaker of the Mastermind because of the tie on the Hillbilly set. Boosted finally dies, but with all three survivors healthy and with a horrific gen split, I don't think that Smith has any shot to 4K this, especially now that we know that topside gen has a lot of progress because the gen on 2 has popped. Cooney would have rotated up to that generator on 12, and now with some stealth from the survivors, we could be seeing an endgame with maybe only 4 stages for the Nurse, or perhaps even less.
Yeah, and something to note here, Doug, is that Rancor is now not going to be in play unless somebody does any sort of action that replaces the Obsession. There is no more Obsession alive in this game. Boosted was the Obsession because of the Dead Hard and the Decisive build. It's now eliminated, so in endgame, the killer has even less to work with. Can't go for a 3 slug and potentially a Rancor Mori to get 3 stages really quickly, so that's even less to play for here.
Yeah, I think it's good to see Inertia knowing exactly how they have to play this. Just the pre-stealthing to make sure that Smid is getting maximum one more hook before this game ends. I imagine we should now, because Weary has been found, see the double on that gen on 12. And if they're really quick on it, they may be able to pop it before this down comes through and before Smid can go up to get the pop. But it really depends on whether the survivors were stacking the gen on 6 or the gen on 12. If they were stacking the gen on 6, I don't think they get it in time. But if they were doubling that 12 gen, we should be seeing all 5 gens get completed before Smith can make it to the top side and contest it.
Yeah, the down would definitely, if the stacking on 12, the down is definitely too far away and the hook is too far away for him to make any value out of the pop goes the weasel. We don't see him opting not to kick the gen on 6, predicting that they're going to be elsewhere and that he can save his pop for better usage. We see him looking around about 2-3, we see a save come in very early on, which suggests that survivors may not have been doubling the gen on 12, and Smith opts to go back because of this information, thinking he may have enough time to get another down or another hook before the endgame starts. Giving up the gen on 12, knows he's probably going to end up going into endgame regardless, and just looking for another chase here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Smith really has very little option here. The survivors here revealing that their split was indeed 2 on 6 for that save coming through. More than likely, the unbreakable player on the top side soloing, so they can't be a slug. Yeah, we see Cooney now just running towards this 7-side corner, but there is no way that the generator at 12 will not be popping for this chase, and I think we'll be looking at potentially 7 stages. Yeah, the gen does pop now. We see the Rancor, both survivors are actually at the top side, and this is going to be a 7-stage result, unless Cooney can juice up long enough and potentially get out through the hatch here.
Yeah, we have that. There is a possibility of that, and we see Cooney getting tagged here just behind the shack, using, I think that might be Overcome to get lots of distance, and you never know, maybe has enough distance to make it to the gate. If they instantly got on that gate on 11, there may just be a possibility. There is a lot of distance there, and the gate, it seems like the gate might be
This
open.
will be close.
The
Yeah, they make it.
blink, they make it out. That is a 4-stage result with 2 fresh survivors. That is a really, really bad. That's really unfortunate for Smith there.
Yeah, that is crippling. And we see Universe just get out the other door or alternatively get out the hatch there. That's not the ending you wanted from Smith. Just had such a difficult start there with amazing stealth, and then just tunneling the DHDS was the final nail in the coffin there. So we are going to be going into our Mastermind tiebreaker, but instead of a 1-1 situation, we're going to see Inertia with a 1-0 lead, and Jduck now fighting for tournament survival. We will be back after a quick break. Hello, everybody, and welcome into our not tiebreaker, but tiebreaker set here, where we're seeing Inertia with a 1-0 lead after the tie on the Hillbilly set, Jduck's pick. Now we are going to be seeing Mr. Ouroboros himself playing the Mastermind for Jduck, trying to set a win condition to keep Jduck in DBO Season 1. The team that loses this best of 3 will be eliminated, so there is a lot of pressure on both teams here to perform at their best. Mr. Ouroboros going with the most standard Wesker build possible that you see on Cold Tower, with the Corrupt Intervention, Pain Res Pop, and Brutal Strength. So what do you think we can expect here, Devour? How do you think Inertia should be playing this? And do you think Mr. Ouroboros will use the build to its fullest potential by playing somewhat safe and using the Brutal?
I think, yeah, that's probably what we're going to see. You're probably going to see Inertia just taking the chases on the bottom side where the Corrupt is, playing really safe with the pallets. See Shack Pallet go down straight away. Unaware of the add-ons yet, so it's safe to play around things. Dropping pallets early. We see the Egg and the Unicorn Medallion, very common add-ons, especially the Unicorn Medallion, and Egg gaining a lot of popularity recently. We see a stun come out from Hunju. Really nice well played on the Godfiller. Unfortunately, quite zoned edge map though right now. But you see a whiff unfortunately come out from Mr. Ouroboros, and another dash used. There's going to be a long recharge, allowing Hunju to make the Shack window, which is really big for this first chase. A lot of time wasted. Does see the M1 come out though with the medium volt. That's good recovery for Mr. Ouroboros here, and he loses.
Yeah, but the lucky break, Hunju is just gone. We don't know where he is here. Probably pathing up to 3 and stealthing on one of these rocks. There is no pallet here, and if Mr. Ouroboros is unable to track Hunju here, then this is going to be a crippling start to the game. As we do see the double on this mid-gen, yeah, just opting to leave, going to cut his losses and unable to track Hunju, which is just going to slow him down so much in this early game, and that is not what you need when you are one set down against Inertia.
Yeah, we see good use of the Brutal Strike, just opting to break these pallets as soon as they're dropped, clear them out. Really, really underrated way of playing Resker is to just clear the map of all pallets, and suddenly your chases become so fast. We see Nia opting for this Volt here, does get tagged, doesn't try to fake it, knowing that potentially on ping it's better to just take the Volt and take the distance than risk being thrown across to some sort of edge map dead zone. And we see Ace get caught out here as well as Nia, and all we have is the Shack window. There's not much for Ace to play around. We see the Volt, the double Volt, and the triple Volt come out. We know the window is blocked, and there's basically nothing that Hunju can do now, and he's going to go down next to the basement. This could be a quite a good position to capitalize off here for Mr. Ouroboros. Opting not to go to the basement though, looking for maybe a pain res.
Yeah, and I think that's the best decision here. You need the pain res. Oh, but now that's the backfire. Just a few seconds too late on that down. Yeah. And now your pain res is going to be hitting a gen you don't particularly care about instead. That's the downside there. Perhaps wanting to play around the basement, going for the pain res, which I think was the correct decision, but just too late. And now Mr. Ouroboros is going to play for stages and go for boosted here, which is, I think, kind of forced when you have a start like that.
Yeah, opting to break the main door. Really unfortunate Painter's timing, and because there was another gen that had a little bit of progress, the token is still used. Recent Painter's changes have made it so that if a gen is 0%, any gens are 0%, there is no progress whatsoever on the map. The Painter's token will be saved, but even if a gen is 2 or 3%, the Painter's token will be used up, which is really unfortunate here, because opting to go for the Painter's but being a little bit too late, but the gen still being a little bit of percentage, wasted the Painter's token here when it could have been used a lot longer. We're going for the tunnel out here on Henju, making it to the jungle gym and dropping that early, rotating up to the next pallet. Just going to be using all of the pallets here. Mr. Ouroboros looking for a dash and gets a very nice dash. Unfortunately throws him towards the edge map, but there is nothing that Hunju could do here. He's going to go down regardless. Just a bit more time waste for the survivors. We see the reset on boosted. Survivors taking time to make sure they're playing safe against this killer, knowing the lethality of Wesker, and especially on this map with all the pallets being used up relatively quickly, it's safer to be reset than to be injured.
Absolutely. That dash was incredible, using the egg to its full potential. Hunju there thinking that he'd waited it out, or maybe just trying to get around that corner and just getting thrown into nothingness and then being downed soon after. Mr. Ouroboros here now does have a tunnel option, and this pop is going to really hurt if they don't get the save and some sort of will make it heal coming through here, which I don't think they're ready for. But I think Mr. Ouroboros should play for the tunnel here. Boosted using the SB, maybe implying that this is our will make it player and is not quite in position for the pull. And now, yeah, there's no tag coming through, but there is also no save coming through. The save needs to come through soon, though.
Ooh, really nice play by Boosted there on the 4 lane. Insane pathing to avoid the egg usage of Mr. Ouroboros' power, and then able to get the stun as well, wasting even more time and denying a tag. And we see an FTP play come out here to keep Hunju healthy, but the infection is going to build up regardless. And we see the opting to go for the Claudette, maybe just going to quickly take a Pain Res to get some more pressure on the gens before Hunju's able to get his spray and prevent himself from becoming fully infected and one-shot to the Wesker's power.
Yeah, the downside of the FTP play here is that you are essentially just giving the killer a free pain res on Weary there, which is now going to allow Mr. Ouroboros to, the very minimum, get a high stage result here, which you can be happy with. But it does deny the kill on Hunju, which means that there is basically no shot of Mr. Ouroboros really 4King this game, unless the survivors make some serious slip-ups from this position.
We see Boosted playing really aggressive on this gen. Very, very close to popping. The pop goes to Weasel, comes through. We see the gen on 6 getting popped, opting to quickly break this pallet. Hunju's still not infected, but still hasn't sprayed. Maybe seeing the spray come out soon because he is on Terdoug, and they do not want him to get quickly downed. We see Mr. Ouroboros opting to cut the person off, going for the save. They do get the save already, and we see... Is that Hunju? No. We see a little bit of gen progress on 4. And we found Hunju on
this is Hunju.
Tile on 2, and he is Terdoug, and he is infected, and there is nobody here to take a hit for him, it seems, and he does not have a spray. It looks like Hunju may be going down very shortly.
Yeah, this is very bad. I have no idea why Hunju was unable to cleanse there, not going for the hit there. Mr. Ouroboros obviously wanting that instant down. He doesn't want to miss it in any way. Just going to walk Hunju down, but with this window setup, even with the 8% slowdown, it is an incredibly difficult situation for our Wesker to play around. Hunju winning the 50 on the window, but that is going to be the instant down and the elimination. I think we're looking at maybe 7 stages this game, Devour, but either side could surprise us and pull out a better result.
Yeah, we see a fair bit of progress on this gen on mid-4 here, but it's not enough to be popped. We're going to see the pop goes come through, regressing it down, and as you said, 7 stages is most likely what we're going to see here, if the survivors are able to play well. But we do catch the reset, and we know that the Yun Jin was thrown off the gen on 4, kicked away from it, and we see a tag coming through on Weary.
8 stages now. Yeah,
this is another,
I see what you mean there.
This is a good pressure for Mr. Ouroboros, and catching the Claudette out of position on Shaq, getting a nice double dash around the back. This isn't a pain res hook though, so this is a little bit of this alleviates the pressure on the survivors a little bit, and we may see a bit of recovery.
Yeah, we know that they've completely abandoned that mid-gen. We see a bird on the gen at 10, implying that they're going to be working that 10 gen and having someone set up for the pull here. But with the reset being found and with Weary going down in the way that he did, that is not the 3v1 that Inertia wanted. So instead of a 7 stage, it is at the very least going to be looking like 8, more than likely more. And there is still a chance for 4K if this tunnel out on Weary is fast enough. But I think that more than likely, Mr. Ouroboros will allow Weary to get away, chase Cooney off this main building, and try and get a pain res to play it for as many stages as possible.
Going for the hit through the pallet there, bit ambitious. Even with the ping, we see Cooney deny the dash and the egg value, allowing very interesting slam there onto complete thin air, but we'll ignore that and look past it. Cooney would have been able to get away with that there and would have actually got thrown off the hill for free distance, but we see Cooney now running the main building. There is no pallet anymore, it has been dropped, using the life on the back of the window though to make a lot of distance around to the car pallet at the front. Going to be pre-dropping that, wasting a lot of time. This may allow the other 2 survivors to get the final gen. This is really well played by Cooney here, denying any more pressure from the killer that could potentially build up.
Yeah, this is excellent from Cooney, just buying as much time as possible. This pallet gym here is still available as well, and Mr. Ouroboros will now be getting very worried about that last generator being doubled. I don't think the pain res will come through in time to deny that pop now, as Cooney has done such an excellent job chasing, and he's just going to die in the corner to try and deny as much time as possible to Mr. Ouroboros, who now, yeah, we see the last gen popping, and I think if he camps this out, we will be looking at an 8-stage 2K, but only 3 fresh result, which is obviously good for Mastermind. But I think that both teams would have been thinking they could have done a little better.
Yeah, I think both teams in this game, like you said, definitely could have performed better on the killer side and on the survivor side. 8 stages, still not very bad. 3 freshes is very important going into this tiebreaker set, getting a good advantage over the other team potentially. And we see Boosted getting caught out here on
out of
potential
position.
save.
Yeah, Boosted is out of position here, absolutely. He's going to make this window, I think, because no, doesn't. And now this could be 9 stages, or even the 3K here, if Cooney, who is on, Weary, sorry, who is on that door at 8, is not able to rotate for the pull in time. And now Boosted is under so much pressure, they're just going to take the outs here. Very sensible, I think. not taking any
The
risks.
throw comes in though.
Weary getting
Maybe
thrown,
able to
but
get the. Does the
no,
power
I
recharge in
don't.
time? The power does recharge in time potentially.
Wait a
If he can
second.
keep doing this over and over, we could see another kill come through.
I would be shocked. That would be such a fantastic finish. Yeah, Weary playing smart here, but another throw coming through. That's got to be 3. His power gauge is going to be 60, 70% now. And now I think Weary is getting worried that maybe he might not
Yeah.
be able to make it out. Yeah, just
We're-
using this here. I don't think we know what exhaustion Weary has, but he could. Yeah, no, that's going to be the out, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Very
Oh,
well played
no!
by. Oh, he gets the infection grab. That's insane. That's an insane play by Mr. Ouroboros, able to throw him away constantly. Weary trying to use the window to force his way in the gate. The infection coming too late for Weary to get out.
That is absolutely incredible there. Weary just getting thrown 3 times and then finally getting infected at the last second, and Mr. Ouroboros getting the kill for a 9-stage 3K instead of an 8-stage. I think Inertia are not going to be feeling very happy about that. Incredibly impressive from Mr. Ouroboros, and a great way to end the set, going into our next match where we will be seeing Boosted trying to match or beat this result after a quick break.
And welcome back everybody for game number 2 of set number 3, and we're gonna see Boosted on the Mastermind on the coal tower here. Jduck able to get a 3K with 9 stages, 1 fresh survivor escaping out of the gate being Boosted, and that means that Boosted is able to win this set with 9 stages again, but 4 fresh hooks instead of 3 from the side of Jduck. But we also could see 3 fresh hooks, but 10 stages take the win for Inertia here. We're going to be loading in survivors now. We're going to see the exact same build from Jduck's killer as we see on Boosted now, using the pop, pain res, corrupt, and brutal strength. Very common, but we do see a change in add-ons. Instead of the egg, we see the Ouroboros tail used to give Boosted more speed, charging up his power, and we see that come into value here on the shack, where we get a free tag with the power on Mr. Ouroboros, dropping the shack pallet very, very early, and the power already recharging. This is going to be an interesting first chase stuff.
Yeah, that's an electric start for Boosted there. I think a bit of an overcommit from Mr. Ouroboros on a pretty unsafe tile, and even with the sprint burst, not enough to make the shack safely. Now with this pallet being thrown, he's going to try and make this filler on 6. The tree just about saving him, and now with this filler coming down, Boosted will be able to zone this and get the first down pretty fast into the trial. So a good start for Boosted, but not a certain win just yet. Great dashes there just to confirm the down.
Very, very game Boosted. Power to the full, pallet drop, breaking them, getting started. Really common from Wesker to just create huge dead zones early on in the game, threatening survivors with the power and brutal strength is very dangerous. We see 2 people found on this mid-gen here, very high progress. Pop comes in just in time though. This is really, really unfortunate for the survivors, a very unfortunate start.
Yeah, a crucial difference between the 2 games here is that in the first game, when Inertia were on Survivor, they were able to pop that middle gen for the first chase, but now this was not the case. Mr. Ouroboros gets hooked, and even without pain res, the pop goes the weasel, comes onto that mid-gen, which is going to slow the survivors down so much here. Now with Boosted just controlling, happy to play this bottom side 3-gen with most of the pallets already cut off. We see someone rotating towards 4, but I don't think they'll be able to get this save in time if Boosted decides to go back and defend.
Yeah, and we see Boosted just doing exactly that, holding this bottom side 3-gen with the shack, with the gen on 7, with the gen on 4, knowing that there are quite a few pallets down in this left. Mr. getting closer and closer to second stage here. Boosted confirming that and going back to the mid-gen, which still hasn't popped. Might opt to go kick it, or just holding David here on the mid-gen. Not scared to get tagged, and we see the main gen pop. Somebody will be on 4, probably maybe rotating in for the save, and Boosted senses that. He sees that nobody is on 4 anymore. Knowing a survivor was over there, going to check around the shack, having a little scan. The top mid gen does eventually pop, but the 3 gen on the bottom side is still standing.
They are going to need to play an incredibly difficult 3v1 here if they want to win this, because this bottom side 3-gen doesn't have that much progress. As you mentioned, I think we have had someone working the generator on the seawall at 5, but there are very few pallets bottom. and they're going to need to come through and get a double save off and some resets if they want a playable 3v1, which is going to be so difficult given that Mr. Ouroboros has very little to work with for this next chase. I think the save should have come through before the second stage here, and the fact that it hasn't has just put the survivors under so much unnecessary pressure of their own making.
Yeah, and we did see that no survivors are coming in to save Mr. Ouroboros. He is going to be most likely dying on the hook unless a last-minute snipe comes through. But I don't think that's going to happen. We see somebody on 9 already pre-rotating to the tile on 10, and Mr. Ouroboros has died now, so they have to play the 3v1 with the 3 gen still standing on bottom side. A slight little mind game, not enough though to get the tag on Oblivion. Very, very close there. The Firecracker comes through, denying power usage, allowing him to get to the God Rock Filler on 9, dropping that straight away, not wanting to risk getting a tag. Power coming through, really nice dashes from Boosted, just straight up sending it, taking the tag on Oblivion, committing to this chase, looking to get a pain res, because the pain res on Mr. Ouroboros was never utilized.
That is correct, but with this filler here, it's going to take a while. What they really need here, this is a bit of a greed, this might be a hit coming. No! Incredibly good ping. I think that's a little bit of exit lag here on Oblivion, unless I'm incorrect. Making this pallet barely there, and playing the check spot fantastically. Boosted just forced the break. If they get one more gen for this chase and deny a good pain res hook, then I think Jduck will be playing with the potential to win this Mastermind set.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic dashes though, coming out from Boosted, predicting the survivor movements, just full sending it, what we love to see on Wesker, high octane and very high risk gameplay, but paying off with the nice down coming in. Could not afford to not get that down on that tile there behind main building, otherwise it would have been a very precarious situation. And now Oblivion is on the hook on the top side. Survivors are going to have to rotate, knowing that they have to pressure this 3 gen on the bottom. We see somebody rotate early for that save, saving Oblivion, and Boosted is just checking his bottom side 3 gen, finds Ace, caught off guard here. Survivors do not want this chase to be on this side of the map. That would be absolutely catastrophic for them. And we see Ace is kind of stuck here.
Oh, a great stun from Hunter, and the smash hit available. Instead of actually using it, stays at the bottom side though. I think maybe a bit of a mistake. Hunter had his ticket out of the 3 gen and doesn't take it. But with Boosted only using 1 token there, he's going to be forced to take an M1. But I don't think Hunter is running to the right place here. This is not where you want to be. As you mentioned, he has had 2 ways to get top. First with the smash hit and now with the injure, and has taken neither of them, which is going to result in a 4K because the survivors are not all pressuring bottom. We see the killer instinct on Oblivion on the top side and the reset. So this is just going to be a down in the 4 gen with no progress made on the bottom side.
Yeah, unfortunate whiff there from Boosted, sliding off the inside of this tile here, very unfortunate. And then again, he is cancelling the power, playing it safe. Hunter should make the shack window here. Oh no,
Just
does not make it because of the ping. And Boosted now has the hook that he wants. He still has a kind of 3 gen on this bottom left side of the map, which I think he's going to hook towards. Yes, and that is exactly what he's going to do. They did manage to pop the gen on 4 because of these little whiffs, unfortunately, with the power. Unable to get the pain res in time, and that is the first hook coming in for Hunter.
Yeah, and I believe now, no, the pain res just actually not used. The pain res was in time there on Hunter, just not a pain res hook. So they could have had pain res on 8, but unfortunately not. Which now means that I think Boosted's best play is going to be to try and get a tag in exchange for the pull, then get a pain res on Hunter. But I think that here, just because of maybe a little bit of an overcommit, or maybe just the fact that the gens were so split as they were, you couldn't defend 5 and 8. But now with 5 gone, Boosted can patrol a lot more easily.
Yeah, and we see that now that 5's gone, he's just replaced the gen on 5 that he was defending for the gen inside the tile on 8. It's a little bit far away from the gen in shack, and it's definitely doable for the survivors if they play this absolutely perfectly. But we can definitely see Boosted holding this, and a very nice use of the power, catching Smit off guard, getting the throw towards the corner of the map. Unfortunately, it is not a throw, it is a slam, and it allows Smit to get all the way back to the shack window, vault it, and get a lot of distance all the way to 5, away from the gens, which is exactly what Jduck need here. And Boosted using the power, gets a nice slam on the hill, and this could be a pain res hook coming through, Doug.
Yes, this should be a pain res, which will deny the pop on that generator at 8. We see it coming through. And now from here, it is maybe looking like a 4K because of the injure and the pain res available on Hunter, and the pop goes the weasel likely coming through onto this generator. No, they have just let it go down, and they've instead opted to potentially go for a reset on hook. I think that the patient playstyle might just have paid off here, expecting Boosted to check the gen and just leaving it. And now they're going to be resetting and attacking this 3 gen healthy. The question is, can Boosted find where Smid is being reset now that they have left the hook or not?
And he does find them on the jungle gym here, and they don't get the reset in time. A tag comes in on Oblivion, and Smith is still injured and infected with no one else to finish off that reset. And we see Oblivion in chase, caught off guard by the instant dash through the pallet. Maybe not expecting him to just full send it, but that is exactly what we love to see from Boosted, just sending it and for high octane gameplay on the Wesker. That is a hook onto Oblivion. His pain res stack has already been used though, so we will not see a pain res come through, but we do have the pop in the back pocket to take over to this 3-gen and use to regress these gens.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Boost is going to do here. Just checking that gen on 8, the one that he is the most nervous about because it's probably the easiest of the 3 to attack for the survivors. And now catching out, this should be Huntra, who is also a pain res survivor. But even here, I don't think there's much need to even use it. Now that you know the pulls come through, Huntra's going to go down. If this is a longer chase, I think there's a good shot to use the pain res just to make sure that a cheeky double does not cost you your 4K. We do see this coming through, and this will likely be the pain res onto Huntra, unless he goes for the slug. But no, deciding to pick up, seeing Smid on the gen at 8. I think Jduck are splitting like they were in the Nurse game. No, Smid getting healed. I don't know where that reset came from, to be honest. I'm not sure what healing is allowed against Wesker. Maybe an inner strength, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Jduck survivors are going to be able to break this 3-gen here. There's so much pressure on them with the infection, even on the reset, and the infection still building up on Oblivion. We see him spraying himself there, and we find Smith here, and he's not cleansed. He is still infected, and Boosted opting to go for this chase, knowing that there is only just this pallet gym left standing, I believe. I'm not sure if the jungle gym's still up. He does try and zone Smith away from the jungle gym, but he does make it. He's going to use the window. Doesn't have both dashes. Accidentally vaulting into him, unable to get the power because he's too close to the survivor and the window. Unfortunate collision issues there from Wesker. Experiencing them enough myself to know how frustrating that is, but able to catch up to Smith regardless because of the 8% slow and the block on the window and the pallet being just too far out of reach.
Yeah, that's pretty tragic there. A really good attempt coming through from Smith, but that is going to be the 9th stage, and there are 4 fresh hooks on the board. That will be the win and the 2-0 for Inertia, who will be going through into losers bracket round 2 now against, I believe it should be, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm going to try and remember, it should be Ruthless Raccoons next week, who will be playing against Inertia. That'll be a great series to watch on Friday. And Jduck, you have done a fantastic job performing in this tournament. We have always loved watching you play, and it'll be a pleasure to see you back in the next event.
Yeah, and we just see Boosted now just playing for this 4K1, playing for the fun of it. The survivors also just playing for some fun chases and seeing this game out, trying to play for their best personal results, knowing that the game has already been decided. Unfortunately, we see a nice try from Oblivion trying to crouch around the shack, trying to avoid the dash, but unfortunately Boosted predicting that and just taking his time, being patient with the power around the shack and getting the down. And we see the death come to Oblivion, and now it is a 2v1 with 2 injured survivors on the board, 1 infected as well. This is going to be very, very difficult for the survivors to generate any pressure against the killer here, and we're probably just going to be seeing a 4K on 1-gen.
Yeah, that's correct. Boosted's played this incredibly solidly. The Jduck survivors have put up a valiant effort, but just a few key moments, some chases not going their way, maybe Hunter running the wrong direction, for example, and just not allowing nearly enough pressure on the bottom side gens to be able to break this 3-gen and get the 8 stages, or in that case, the 4 stages out the door that they needed in order to stay in the tournament here. And now we are going to be seeing a chase onto Hunter, who has almost nothing to work with. This is just going to be a death in the corner, and more than likely, Boosted will be taking his 3rd 4K of the night. So a fantastic individual performance for Boosted today.
Yeah, definitely the killer of this series, playing absolutely exceptionally on all of his killers. On round 1, coming back, holding that Billy set to a tie, even though it was not Inertia's pick, which was really impressive. And then just playing an absolute textbook game of Nurse, getting a 4K2, and then rounding up the tiebreaker with a 4K1 on Wesker, which is going to be incredibly well played and honestly very deserved. I think the 2 biggest separations from these teams has been the gen pressure and the coordination of dying in the right spot. We see unfortunately Ace this game dying right in the gen split, and this caused big problems for Jduck survivors. They're just unable to pressure the gens as much as they needed to, and we do see Smith maybe getting the gate open in time with the adrenaline, cancelling the power by accident. And yeah,
no,
I think Smith realizes that it's over for him, unfortunately, with the infection and just not enough time on the gate, and that is going to be it. That is going to be a 4K1, and Inertia taking the tiebreaker set and the 2-0 overall.
Fantastically played game by both teams, and an absolute pleasure to watch and cast with some exciting games and some great sets.